Right. Let's do a quick sound check. Yes, you guys are hearing a baby. Somebody's wanting to sit on my lap tonight and do chart school with me. Yeah, so I added that option so when you buy a ticket, it confirms that you've successfully bought one. So, you guys know, because then you guys are just pounding those exclamation points. Well, I appreciate that. But yes, so if you hear a baby, no, you cannot have. No, 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 you cannot have. She's sitting up here with all the monitors and the screens and them moving around. So if you hear a little bit of whining, it's just my child. What? No, yes. So she only knows a couple things in sign language. One of them is eat. So she's just literally running around, eat, 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 eat. Want to eat? That's working. I'm really looking forward to when she actually starts talking because everything is It's just like some version of her whining or grunting or something else. So I'm sure those of you, the kids out there, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You know that grunting and pointing stage. But like I speak grunt now, so I feel like I'm well ahead. It didn't say that I successfully bought a ticket. Um, subscribe to tier one. You subscribe for. Nope, you don't have one yet. Did you take it wrong or something? I have no idea. I think Ernest has hacked it that you. I don't know. Try to do it again because you don't. You're definitely not in there yet with a ticket, Vanessa. Baby about to put up 100 lots. Yeah. Hey, there was a great trade setup that we looked at that earlier. I had a session earlier with Josh finally. It's okay, I'll wait on Ernest. Trolling, trolling, trolling. Keep them doggies trolling. Yeah, no, I actually had a pretty good one. I gotta say, the mentoring sessions are definitely fun, guys. I get to learn a lot about you, and it's very interesting to see like where you guys are in the process because you're actually all at different places. So far, I've met with Ryan, Josh, Sean, and Vanessa, and you're all at completely different places. So it's very, very interesting seeing where you guys all are. Not one of you have had the same homework. Not one of you is at the same place psychologically or strategy wise or even setup wise. So it's very interesting to see. Um, so definitely very interested in getting more of you in through the mentored process. So looking at the day today, I didn't expect there to be a ton of movement. I thought there'd be some early movement because of the ECB monetary policy notes. And then the Philly Fed Index actually came in pretty good, which is nice. Again, you're seeing basically the euro and the pound both go down, dollar yen up, dollar Swiss up, dollar CAD actually down a little bit. And again, that's kind of a retracement from what we saw yesterday, and which we kind of talked about last night. And then things were kind of flat after that. I'm going to stick. I'm going to stack like six and just get. Oh no, I don't. And well, the thing is, I give homework, so like I'm still waiting. Speaking of homework, I'm still waiting to see Ryan's homework. I'm sorry, Sean's homework. Send it to me, but I'm still waiting. Even know. You may have to like write like an ebook or something. I mean, it could be just crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. But I will say, I would use those pip chips sooner rather than later because I need to make sure that I equalize the prices based off the pip chips. And mentoring is up to five. It's up to 500 now, so it probably will jump when I get it done correctly. Um, but with that said, I do have a fancy new system now. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. I do have a fancy new system for signups. So I actually have a website. I sent Carl the link today, so Carl's going to do some mentoring as well, and sent it to him. I got the email confirmation that he's in, so I'm pretty excited about that one. But of course, if you guys know Carl, I'm like, all right, well, when you work with Carl, like, what is it, what specifically? And Carl basically labeled out the entire thing. He's like, I need to get better at this and get better at this, and I need to know how to handle it in every single marketing condition. I was like, yeah, let's just make this easy. So, but yeah, that's just, that's accountants. What are you gonna do? Where can I find your butterfly class? Interesting that you asked that question. Actually, that one is being re-recorded right now. I went through the slide deck again today. If the slide deck had been updated, I just hadn't had time to re-record it. I wanted to make sure I got the parabolic retracement course out because Nadex had requested that one. But the overnight trend trader, the news, basically the news trader, the breakout strategy for Nadex, and the butterfly class are all now in the kind of stages of being recorded, or I guess re-recorded. But yeah, so they should be out. I don't know, probably. I mean, probably in the next couple weeks. But this way, by Christmas, there will most likely be a Christmas special for those. Hint, hint. Yeah, you'll be able to get those. And then at that point, there will be, let's see, there'll be those three classes. There'll be the forex class, there'll be the 5-minute trader class, and as well as the parabolic retracement class. And then there's one more class that I have planned after that, the whole number of quarters theory class. And then I'm probably going to do nothing but focus on kind of like a boot camp slash funded trader kind of thing. So the goal is if I can have all the classes completely published by the end of January. That's the recording of the next 3 plus building the next one and having that fully up with kind of the full cycle. And then I can really focus on kind of the mentoring of those classes. And I have the entire outline done for the funded program. That's going to be pretty exciting. But I'm probably going to do, with that being said, December, I'm probably going to try one of the other funded services out as well. I'm going to probably put in and see if I can get one of the funded. I want to try the scaling for this one that I found. It's got a little bit more higher initial cost, but then there's no maintenance fee for it. So, I mean, the goal is to finish it pretty quickly, but they have an interesting scaling where if you're profitable for so many months, you get like a double size account. Where that's the problem with Top Step is it doesn't scale. It doesn't ever go higher. It's whatever you paid for is what you get. And if you want more, you have to go, redo the combine again for the higher level. This one scales. It just has one level and it scales up. And I really like the way that it scales. So, waiting for that boot camp. Yeah, the boot camp should be fun. Yeah, I'm gonna do a boot camp for that. G. Yeah, yeah, because we sit on our butts so much. Yeah, no, yeah, the boot camp it'll be fun. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be kind of like a crash course, multiple hours, live trading sessions and stuff like that. I just think it'll be much better. Um, different kind of atmosphere, just to mix it up, and I'll do that like maybe once, maybe like I don't know. It's gonna be a couple. I'm kind of torn if I want to do it over like so basically it'd be like a month long boot long or boot camp, and I don't know, but it'll be like maybe like a couple hours on like the weekend, and then like maybe like 2 hours a night for like 3 nights or something like that. Yeah, I'm throwing a couple different ideas around it. All kind of the movement that we saw today. Going into tomorrow, again, this is the day that we've been waiting for kind of all week. A lot of early morning stuff. So again, we'll pull up some binaries and see what kind of contracts we can look at for that. Again, start with the French data in the morning, then we go into the German data, and then we go into the Euro flash data itself. And that brings us up to about 5:30 this morning, or about 4:30, and then we hit the pound data. So again, we have all this Euro data, and then we have this pound data, and then we have CAD retail sales. Okay, so I think CAD retail sales followed up by flash manufacturing. So it's kind of like like bing, 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 and it's like one of those things. What are those things called, like the Blinko boards or whatever it is. So I think tomorrow we'll have a bunch of bounces, and honestly, the way that they're kind of staggered time wise, I mean, literally, this could be. I mean, it could be literally like up, down, and like it could be pretty volatile tomorrow. So, um, yeah, I just hold on 1 second. I can't type and talk at the same time, unfortunately. Ugh. All right, so again, so news-wise today, again, these are all the latest ones, but these are some of the big things. So the U.S. may delay the December 5th tariffs if pact is not reached by then. There's kind of some. It's some very interesting. If you're trying to follow what's going on with the tariffs and everything else, now they're bringing back the EU. Okay, talking about again if they're going to include autos in this thing, and they're going to do a little bit more investigation into the European Union one. So interesting how it's going to work out. I don't know. Trying to follow it today, I was kind of like, that makes sense and that doesn't make sense. And I think at this point, China basically has figured out that there's no way, like Trump's not going to veto the bill because both. I mean, I don't know. If Trump really just doesn't want to get elected, he'll veto the bill, the Hong Kong human rights bill, because both sides agreed on that one. I mean, it's absolutely amazing when both sides can actually agree on something. So I'm pretty sure that he's not going to just sink that one, and I'm pretty sure he's going to sign it. Although China, was kind of a little bit more nervous about that, um, and made comments about it. That they expect, you know, it's going to cause some obstacles. It's going to come up in the negotiations. So there's really no way around that. They're not going to be happy about it, but I mean, at the end of the day, oh well. There's nothing we can do about it. So I don't know. I think that's going to play back and forth, and I think this is in retaliation to them basically mentioning, like, I think he'll gladly sign it, and I think that's basically the retaliation of them saying, you know what, we're just going to wait this out till the next election, and the impeachment and everything. And I don't know. I think the impeachment is, I don't know. I haven't been watching it today. I haven't seen any news on it today. I know everybody that was, claiming victory Monday and Tuesday is not saying anything. They've gone completely silent at this point. So not sure where that one goes to. Um, yeah. But like I said, I think he's perfectly happy with where the China situation is right now. And again, this Hong Kong human rights thing, I think, is another shot right across at China. And I think it's a game that they realize that it's gonna start getting dirty, and I don't think that they want to go that direction. So we'll see. Like I said, I still have confidence that they will reach a deal before the end of the year. Um, I also heard today that we have 100 days till the first. I guess the Iowa caucus is in 100 days from now, which I thought was pretty interesting. So we're rounding the bend. We're going into double digits here from triples. So election is starting to come up. All right. So with that being said, let's jump over into the scanner. So scanner is showing a lot of consolidation, which is not really surprising after kind of what we saw today in prices. As you can see in the majors, the only thing that has any type of setup right now is an uptrend setup on the daily, right? You just saw that dollar Swiss, dollar yen both have kind of similar patterns, right? Uptrend setup, meaning it's pulling back. And that's kind of what we're seeing across the board. And again, we did see that, yesterday the CAD was up. Today it's retracing back down again, like we mentioned. It was quite a strong day, and we'll look at that. But everything is kind of in a consolidation, and it's kind of like in a waiting period, right? It's kind of like in a holding pattern, trying to figure out, all right, what's going to happen tomorrow, because there's a lot of stuff moving around. Looking at the Euro basket, it's kind of the same thing, right? A lot of sideways, not a lot of confirmations, and there's two small anchor breaks in the Swiss and the yen. Okay. But again, looking at all the lower time frames, we don't even see a lot of confirmations there. Okay. The euro dollar has a little bit of a confirmation, uptrend. But besides that, there's not really a whole lot there, right? Um, so kind of interesting there. Where yesterday, a lot of stuff was in confirmation territory. Looking at the CAD basket, okay, again, this one kind of got switched around a little bit, but the CAD basket, you guys can see, same thing. There's a lot, obviously the dollar CAD uptrend setup like we talked about on the other piece, but look at the other two. I mean, we have CAD Swiss, CAD Yen are both downtrend setup, right? But then they're kind of mixed after that. And then look at the Aussie basket. Aussie basket's got two. Aussie New Zealand, Aussie Yen, right? Those things are pulling back after being down. So, you know, pound basket's the same way. I mean, look at the pound basket on the 4 hour. They're all just single with trends. Oh, there we go. We finally switched back again, right? We weren't even getting the sideways aspect of it. So again, at least there's a little tiny bit of confirmation in here. And again, anchor break to the upside on the pound yen. Again, it's up 31, right? It's up 31 for the day, but you can see that a lot of that, it was up 31, but it's been down over the last hour. Okay, so this number should be a little bit higher. We know it's pulling back into the same area. But again, look in the morning. What do we know? We know we have pound news. Okay, and a lot of this is kind of, it's pushing kind of up, going sideways. But what we do know is this is up near an area of supply. So we're expecting that the pound, okay, if it doesn't come out with stellar news, this thing is probably going to tank tomorrow. And again, this could be the market positioning itself a bit higher to get ready for that. Aussie doesn't really have any news tomorrow. Again, CAD has a little bit of news again, but they were kind of the weaker, they're in a weaker position, right, than some of the other ones. Like euro is obviously going to be more powerful, pound to be more powerful, obviously dollar is going to be more powerful. But it's kind of, it's ticking, it's getting a bit weaker, right? And the news tomorrow is supposed to be down, right? So it could also be the market just preparing for, what inevitably is probably going to come in as a number. It's just kind of how low will the number actually be? Yeah, I think is kind of more of the kind of the question that we're trying to figure out with the CAD news tomorrow. Okay. Now, just a bit of caution. Again, we'll cover this in the CAD charts. Be a little bit careful with this one because we have U.S. data right behind it. Okay, manufacturing data. This data right here is going to be much more powerful than theirs. Now, again, if you're going to play this in the spot currency realm, obviously CAD yen is the way to play that. But be very, very cautious if you do anything with Nadex, if you try to play this one with a dollar, the dollar CAD, because literally that manufacturing number that comes in an hour and 15 minutes later, unfortunately, if it was at 10 or like 10:15, we'd be golden because it would be after the binary expired. Unfortunately, here, not so much. Okay. You're going to run out of time for a retracement. You only have about a half hour on that one. So it kind of is like we can kind of take advantage of, I don't know, basically like a pre-market news, but anything post is going to be a little bit difficult because we're just going to run out of time before we really get too much, going there. So I don't know. I think that one's going to be a little bit more difficult. So of the two, if you can only trade one, I would trade the dollar number or the U.S. number versus the CAD number. Okay. Um, so yeah, so that's what I'm looking for. So tonight is one of those nights with the scanner where it's just a bit scrambled. It's basically just sideways. Okay. There are some times when the markets are going to do this. Tonight is obviously one of them. Okay, a lot of stuff sideways. Not a lot. Not a lot. Basically, the Aussie is the only thing that really has some great setups on here. It's the only thing that's showing really too much. I guess now the CAD basket does as well. The CAD basket's starting to show a lot more setups on the daily, but the lower time frames are still showing just single arrows in down directions, nothing confirmed, um, and like one anchor break, right? And again, that's a conflicting. The Aussie CAD was a conflicting anchor break a second ago. So there you go. All those just popped out again. So again, it's moving sideways. So yeah, normally you have a lot more checks on this, especially the majors. Okay, so just again, telling you that just to make sure that you guys are aware of what the market conditions are right now. Okay, so let us jump over into the charts. Here we go. All right, so discussing this one the other day, and again, we saw a little bit of a pop in this morning at 9 a.m., right? It was kind of down here, and again, this was more or less news based. But really, since it popped, it really hasn't done much since that time. It did pop right into the zone, which was great, and then really just kind of went sideways. So, for the most part, from this lower area, this blue area, we talked about it being kind of a takeoff point, and it did. It took a while for it to grind all the way back up again, and we had this level marked off. Remember, we made this level smaller down here at 8. Now, again, popped up. This was kind of almost like a perfect setup to the downside, but it was a 9 a.m. release this morning. Well, looking back, what did we have at 9 a.m. this morning? Nothing, right? We had the BOC was speaking at 8:40. So it kind of had something to do with him, but it wasn't one of those releases that had an actual number associated with it or attached to it. So it's kind of hard to play a retracement on there because it wasn't like the market could have reacted to it anyway. There was no getting ready for what he was going to say. It just doesn't work that way. So not necessarily the ideal setup as far as a parabolic retracement goes. And since that time, since it did its initial spike and pop, it's in the same exact spot. So again, we're talking about 9 a.m. here, and we're talking about, basically 9:30 right here. For 12 hours, it's been within basically a 9 pip range. Hasn't really moved. Okay. Now, we are in a downtrend setup, but once again, we're running back into this little wick over here. So, really, if you're looking at how much this can move, I mean, we're talking about 38 pips to the downside. Okay. I mean, like I said, we have a CAD number. If it stays up here, again, I like this to the short side. Okay. And again, I wanted to make sure we covered this first because, again, with CAD news in the morning, this gives us the opportunity to kind of, get something out of it. One thing that does make this a bit weird for me, though, too, is you guys see this wick here? I want to make sure we cover this tonight. This long wick here, if this was short, I would love it for an entry. The fact that it is very, very long, right? It's this whole piece right here, makes this a little bit harder to grab a zone out of it. So, I don't know. I'm hoping we get some more movement overnight. Kind of position us a little bit better in this one, but unfortunately on the 30-minute, it doesn't look like it's going to give us much of an opportunity, and it's sitting inside of this supply zone. But again, 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4th time that it's been through. So at this point, I mean, it's been all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. This area is basically completely eaten up. There's really not much to really talk about this area. I would say pretty much at this point it's smoked. Okay. Um, you do have this zone here, but I just don't really like it that much. I think if I was looking for something as far as an entry goes, I'd probably go a bit higher into this range. You guys can see we had this drop, and then there's the wick over wick here. So I may be looking at, and again, I'll see tomorrow morning where it is, but probably there for kind of a bounce. We're looking at you're looking at about a 50 pip spike. So that's about right. That's about right for some type of a pop. So yeah, I mean it's unfortunately that's the best we got to the top side. And again, bottom side, probably the same, the same wick over wick, that blue line that we're hitting before. All right. So again, it's probably going to be a shorter term kind of trade, and hoping we'd have more tonight for it. So let's switch over and go back to the beginning, go to the Aussie yen. All right, so you can see the Aussie yen didn't really do as much as you would have wanted. You guys can see we had a very small body today. Again, larger wicks, small body. Basically, here's where we are now, and here's where we were last night. Okay, we did push down. We didn't quite make it down to this area. Got super, super close. Kind of came back up, and then again, just kind of stayed around that blue level. So even though we did hit this top side, which is nice, it went almost a 3-to-1, right? Let's see. Yeah, you're talking about 6 pips, right? And this one ended up retracing about 18. So you got a 3-to-1 out of it. It's, one of those things that you could have taken just minor, right? Um, that was like super late last night. That was right after chart school that you would have gotten entered into that one. And then just went sideways. Kind of came up a little bit, kind of came down a little bit, but really not a lot of movement, okay? This pair, yeah, I mean, Aussie dollar is only down 7. So like I said, it's consolidating. This one will move with the manufacturing number tomorrow as well. Probably is not going to be as affected as much by the early morning news, but unfortunately, I mean, really, I like this top zone up here still, the blue one, and probably this dotted line down here at the bottom. But besides that, nothing really. I don't like any other zone in here in the 4 hour. It's just a bit too choppy. Even over here on the daily, it's not really great. I don't really like anything up until 74.65. So, you're talking really even up in here, right? Up in this zone. So just not a lot of setups in this one. At this point, I'm rooting for this one to go down tomorrow. I'd really like it if we can get lower into this area between 73.50 and 73.33. Get us into that range. If we could bump into this range on Sunday, that would be a long thing for me on Sunday night. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for right now. Right now, I just don't see any setups. There's nothing clean on a 4 hour. And again, going into Friday, it's starting to get a little bit thin, right? So looking at this one, okay, Aussie New Zealand. Aussie New Zealand is basically flatlined as well. Okay, you can see on the 4 hour, we did break a little bit lower. Okay, so I'm going to take the blue off at this point because the blue is officially gone, right? But this is what we got now. Okay, not a lot of trend in here, right? We're still kind of sitting down in this level. We pushed, we had that little bit of a pullback, and we came down, but hasn't been very explosive. Okay, the wicks are starting to get longer, and these candles are not very powerful at all, right? And really, you can see here's 21, and here's 21. So we're in the same exact spot. We went up a little bit, came down a little bit, and then came back up a little bit. So really no movement. Okay, you could have played something on the shorter term, and it would have taken you from 106. I mean, if you got it from peak to the trough here, we had 106.10 to 108.50. So you're talking about 30 pips if you were able to grab at the very, very top of this position, to the bottom. Okay, if you would pull the top and the exact bottom, it was only 30 pips. So just not that much movement, right? And again, going to the downside, grinding the downside. I mean, I think we are inside of kind of a racetrack situation here, right, at this point. And now there's a little bit of a wick over wick. The other one that we're looking at. Yeah, so here, I'm going to move this down and talk about there. So we have it stuff off. So yeah, if you got the top and then you bounce it off the wick over wick, then yeah, there you go. That's kind of what you're dealing with. So again, not a lot of movement. It's running out of steam. You would say, hey, listen, we could take a short, but again, it's got to clear this zone before we can do too much. Okay. Looking at Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar is down officially, what is it, 7 right now? Hold on. Yeah, it's down 7. Same situation that we talked about. Okay. What are we sitting on? Well, we're sitting on this facing level, right? What do? We literally bounce right off the top of it. Down, boom, boom. Now again, we have hit it a few times, so we are kind of getting to a stage where, it could definitely be lining up for some type of a momentum breakout, but it's gotta drop through there. I mean, here's where the candle is right now, 21.20. There we go. Right here.
here's where we were last night. Here's where we are right now. Now, it did go up. It did grab up here. So again, had you been looking at this zone, this was actually a trade that you guys could have grabbed earlier. Okay, there was your zone. Okay, and you pop right into it. And at the same time, this zone thickness was 8. So we need 24 in the other direction to make this worth it. And you guys can see coming back down, it came right back down in the blue area, and the blue area was at 28. Now remember, the green is where I wanted to take over. I wanted to get us down here on profit target, right? But there's the end of the blue line. There's your 8. There's your 28. Again, over 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio based off of this one. Okay, this drive up would have been in this over here. Okay, it would have been basically would have been a 4-hour downtrend setup. Okay, and again, the reason why you would have picked this zone is because the very clean kind of nature of this, right? Came up in one candle, turn in one candle, and then boom, boom, boom in very fast successive kind of large extended body candles. Okay, there we go. Whoops. All right, that was one trade you guys got to grab today. And again, that triggered at 8 o'clock this morning. So again, it was floating around this area. Had you set, this is one of the discussions I had with Josh today too, that there are so many different currency pairs out there. This is a major, and obviously you could have traded this today with Nadex or spot currencies. But again, when we're prices was over here last night, we're talking about being what 35 pips away. I mean, who knows? I mean, don't know what you were doing this morning, but if you guys would have used your alerts and said, okay, hey, listen, if this pops up in here, this is a clean area, I'd be willing to take this, right? Again, set the alert, get the email, come back and see it. You had a half hour to be able to get into this trade, okay? Definitely a way that you could have done it, all right? But again, 8 for 28, nice little 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. Even if that's the only one you got today, wouldn't have been too bad. Whoops. And again, you guys can see here, per pip is $10, right? There's $1 a second. So again, worth 280 bucks for the day. All right, pound Aussie. All right, so pound Aussie, it's basically done nothing. Again, we've been stuck in kind of this sideways channel, right? So here's the 19 candle right here, and when we go back, you guys can see that there's the 19 candle. It's literally here with wicks up and down, and all it's done is really follow this channel back and forth. Now, this was the zone, this was the retest. There's obviously a zone in front of it. You guys can see the wick over wick. When they're like this, you typically just take the farthest thing away. In this case, you could have said, well, wait a second, there was a wick over wick here. Yes, there was. There's a wick over wick right there, and you can see that we touched it there and touched it there. But again, you're not going to make every single trade in there. Now, not a bad little kind of spike to the downside. This kind of top to bottom range here is about 60 pips, so there was some you could have taken in this one. But, I'm not going to say that this is one that everybody should have grabbed, just because, again, if there's a wick on top of a wick, or I'm sorry, a zone on top of a zone, you typically take the farther one, not the nearer one. And again, you would have missed the entry if you didn't get that one. Obviously, if you guys marked off that one, yes, you could have got both those. And again, this is what the trade would look like. Okay, had you used this lower area, right, there would have been your entry. Here's the first pop back. This one, you probably would have taken yourself out in here, or maybe even here. So you would have, both of them would have been profitable. One profit target obviously would have been here. That was the first pop. This is where the second one would have been, just slightly higher. And you would have technically hit both of them, okay? And again, that's just for your own purposes if you guys were trading them. So again, the wick over wick, you would have taken the farther one, but had you taken this one, if you really felt the need to take it, there you go, okay? And you guys can see up here, okay? This was basically a news spike, or, a very kind of fast excessive drive to the downside, right? This was pound news, right? And it retraced all the way back up, just FYI. Okay, right there is the start, and you can see what it retraced up to. Actually went above here and went above here. Had you play that retracement, where we are now, I would say that I'm probably more bearish this position. This is not something you could trade in Nadex, so you could only trade this in spot currencies. So it is going to be a little bit riskier tomorrow. Now, overnight, if we do grind up into one of these zones, there is the potential that this could be a good short possibility. And again, the pound news is at 4:30 a.m. So if we do get some type of movement where it comes from here and goes up, and we are inside either of these two zones, probably more the green than the red, before news, there could be a short opportunity to take this back. Whoops. No, not that one. Oh well, I deleted that one. Be in a situation where it's something like that, right? Actually, it could be more like this. It could be throughout Friday. So we'll see what that one does overnight, but that's kind of what I'm projecting. If it floats and just kind of comes here in the middle, then it's no man's land. You can go up or down in it either way. But I like this more to the downside. I think we should get a little bit of a break. And again, with that, what's going to drive that is not the flash manufacturing, it's the flash services. The flash service is at 50.1. And if it goes below 50, that shows contraction, which would be weakness. Again, I think that's what could really drive this to the downside. Okay. We have schools get a little bit worse, and then the high schools get a little bit worse. So like my kids are in 4th grade, they have 2 years and school. And what about this school? And what about this private school? And it's like 30 grand a year. And we have twins. Yeah, but maybe we could get something. I'm like, we have twins. So, all right. Again, not a huge. I just don't like this one. I'm just so anti this pair right now. We did get a little bit of movement away today. It came right back into the same level again, touched it, and popped right back out of it again. So this zone down here has been a pretty good zone. I mean, it did get broken, but really kind of forced it back up over the weekend, and pushed us all the way back over. And we're kind of hovering above it, right? This 85.50 area is where the zone starts. It's been very, very strong. I mean, I'm going to say the same thing. Again, this matches up perfectly with the pound weakness we've seen in the pound Aussie and then some of the other pound pairs we will see. It's been an area down here. It's had a lot of problems going farther south. Only problem is the German data doesn't look great, and the French data is supposed to be okay. It's not horrible, but the German flash manufacturing data is down at 42.9, which is technically better than it was. So, again, everything news-based, based off the forecasts and the previous on both of these, matches up to say that this thing is going to go higher, okay? Getting the right entry for it, though, may be a bit difficult, right? I mean, the ATR on the daily right now is down to 42, okay? The reason I'm bringing that up is that's technically what it can move in a day, and we have a lot of news tomorrow, so it has the potential to move that. The only way that I'd be looking to play this is probably with a binary because, again, in spot currencies, just one figure and this thing could jump pretty fast, and you don't want to get caught with a stop loss that's being hopped over, right? But if you're looking down, and I would say probably, let me see. Let's see where the call spreads are first. So let's bring this across. 85.65. Top and the bottom are the only two that are close. This one's about 5 pips out, and this one has about 10 pips worth of risk in it. Taking this to the top side. To be able to double your risk, you need about 20, 30 pips per top side. You could grab a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade out of this one. Not a horrible position, not a horrible position by any stretch of the imagination. Here, there we go. Okay. And again, what that requires is basically, see, this is not in a zone is the problem. I mean, we're right near where it starts. I mean, again, it hasn't moved. I mean, we're sitting right on the floor right now. The floor is actually just a little bit above us. We're moving to the downside on this one. But the good thing about it is there's not a lot of premium jacked into this one right now. So this could be one of those ones that you may, there's potential to get into it. Even to the downside. More than 16? Yeah, probably. Definitely see this one having some this pair that Nadex doesn't get a good reading on the volatility. So not a horrible position. So let's look across at the binaries for this one. Baby's the other. AM. Let's see what the 7 a.m. $75 risk. This thing goes up 35 pips, which is less than the ATR based off all of that news. This one goes from $10 now up to $50. So again, over a 4-to-1 risk reward ratio on that one. Uh, Looking to the downside, I don't know if you guys can hear or not. And you're only talking about downside. 540. Basically need a spike to this level. Could be one of those ones too, where down and then comes all the way back up to the top side tomorrow. Actually, what I think it would do, technically the 85.50 would work too. Farther up top, but again, that was a little bit cheaper one. If we were over in here, that'd be a little bit nicer. This one would also get a little bit cheaper. We could just right, just a little bit up here. This could be one of those ones that like literally spikes up and then comes all the way back down again. That's where that one could be. So again, that's potential way you can do it. I mean, you have some of these other ones out here, like the 11 o'clock. Obviously, farther in the day, they're going to get a little bit cheaper. Like 75, a little tiny bit more, but not by much. But yeah, so that's potentially how you could play it in this pair. Okay. Let's just keep moving along into the other one. So look at Euro Yen. So Euro Yen would be another one of those ones that you would play solely to basically, play the euro. Okay. Euro has 330, 4, and 430. So it's kind of actually, I guess, no, I'm sorry. It has 315, 330, 4. Okay. And then EC president speaking at, it's tentative. So he's going to speak at some point. So this one is a little bit bottled up. And what I mean by that is you guys can see. So we can get a nice little pop up. About 50 pips. That's actually within striking range. If we can spike up into this zone, that could be a nice little retracement back to the downside. Probably say probably about the red area as well. I mean, if we take this red area down here, if we can spike into this red area, that could be kind of the opposite end of this thing. So kind of here. Top and bottom in this position. The sound real quick, see if that All right, so that should make it louder. You guys should be able to hear it better now. Yes, no? German GDP is it too? Yeah, the GDP one's not going to be as big a deal. I don't know. Yep, thanks. Okay. All right, yeah, so I adjusted a little bit more. Sometimes it does that. I don't know. It has a mind of its own sometimes. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what that transition is. All right, yep. I said sometimes there's like a perfect placement for the mic and sometimes there's not. All right, so again, this one I don't think is really set up as well. If it, obviously if we hit the top side, we'd be looking to sell, bottom side looking to buy. Being 50% right in the middle, it's kind of in that no man's land. So not really necessarily interested in taking that one. Looking at euro dollar. All right, so euro dollar is in a little bit different of a situation. So we've been kind of up into this. Basically, it's I mean, for lack of a better word, it is a selling zone. It is demand, but it's more of a pullback. Okay. Problem is, if you look at this on the lower time frames, on the 4-hour as well as the 30-minute, you can see that we were actually coming back down into a bit of a demand zone. Okay, we had some buying down here on the lower level. Now, what makes this one interesting is because of the time of the news releases, obviously there's no US traders online, right? So it's basically a European kind of market. They can do what they want with it. They have no interference from anybody else. So it does make it a little bit more difficult. So if you're looking at it on a technical basis, we are right now sitting inside of a demand zone on the 4-hour. Okay, it's hit this area twice. It's bounced off of it. It's been in somewhat of a sideways channel. If you're looking at it on the daily, obviously it's putting in lower lows, and the highs are kind of all over the place. It had 2 days of basically no movement with wicks on the top and the bottom, and it's not necessarily really pulling back to anything great, right? I mean, there's some wicks there, but not too much, right? On the left, there really isn't much over there either. Looking on the 4-hour for any type of a spiky move, I mean, really, I mean, if we're going to talk about any, whoops, I mean, if anything, I mean, this is about the only thing that we can look at that we would say is kind of remotely clean, right? All the way up here. And we're talking about this one, which is up at 111.23. That's about 60 pips from where we are, okay? 60 pips is a bit of a run. It's a bit much. I mean, again, it could rally up before that news. And, each of these may be worth, 20, 30 pips maybe at the most. But 60 is kind of a lot for what these things are to be able to play a retracement because we're literally at the very, very bottom of the zone. Now, the one option you could have is use somewhat of a news breakout and taking out of the money before the news happens. If we manage to stay inside of this zone or if we're starting to leave it, like I said, I mean, it is here a lot. Wasn't the best quality zone, but it came back and touched it again and touched it again. And again, it's kind of set up to be what of a failure at this point based off of just what we have. So the only thing we can really hope for now is, if we can get a push through the bottom, but I don't think with news it's going to give us that very clean down, up and down type situation. So it's kind of a bit harder on this one, right? I mean, we do have a level, right here, this level of basing, which you guys can see it over here. It's where the origin of the gap was. If I took this down here and said, okay, you know what, that's a bit close. This is the origin of where the gap went to, and then be able to use, something along those lines as our kind of an entry for a spike to the downside. Um, I mean, I guess technically you could do this, and we could do something like this. Okay. Something along those lines. And let's see, what do we have here? Top and bottom. Whoops. I mean, that's only 20 either direction, so that's a very minor spike. Okay. That's below what the average is for this combination of all these things together. So range for what we have top wise and bottom wise. And like I said, the first thing we have super, super clean is up here, and that's quite a haul. So maybe this pair is not going to be the best one to trade tomorrow morning. I was hoping that this one would be, but it's not. Let's look at your Aussie, see if this is better. Your Aussie isn't far from that zone. If we can get a bit of a rally, and again, it looks like it's trying to make a little bit of a valid attempt now, but if we can get a bit higher, be close to this zone, I'd be looking to get short before the news on this one. The ATR on this one is down to 75, so again, it's definitely kind of shortened up. We had those 2 profit targets a bit lower because, again, that's where we saw the spike off of. Again, your entry was here. We talked about this. It did come all the way back down. Again, here's where we are right now, the 21. if we go back, you guys can see the 21 was right here. Okay, so this is the one we talked about last night in chart school, and it went back down and went just beyond our profit target. So I don't know if anybody took this one or not, but that was one of the setups from last night that you could have taken. And again, it went well past. Like I said, we were right here at chart school, and obviously it hit its completion right here at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay. I like this one short if we can go a bit higher. I think we can make another valid attempt to go to the downside. Now this area has been wiped out, so there's a few different kind of wicks down here that are just by themselves. Probably going to run into a little bit of somewhere in, I'd say somewhere in this area. I mean, definitely here. That's got to be a target. It's the reverse triangle. I'd love that. Absolutely love that one. But you got a single wick here, a single wick here, a single wick here. So really, in this entire, all this area right here, it's like sand. It's like one of those like speed traps, right? There's like 18 wheelers when they go off the road. How there's like it starts with like sand, it's like gravel, sand, and then it finally hits like the water barricade. That's kind of like what we have set up here. You're getting ready to hit that water barricade over there. So I don't know. I'd like this one to rally a bit before we go to the downside. If, like I said, if we can get into here, I'm all into selling this one again, like we saw here. Okay, that's the only setup I have for that one. I don't really necessarily have. I don't think I'd be taking a short just from down here, and this is not an index-based pair. So pound yen. What's the reverse triangle? It's the opposite of the regular triangle. I'll show you when I get another. Here, all right. Here, I'll show you. All right, so let's see if I can find another example of a regular triangle. The wrong pair to do it, but no. Anyway, if this image was flipped upside down, see how we have a triangle right here? Fine, hold on. I have the art skills of a kindergartner. See that with wicks? You have one long wick and then a shorter wick in an uptrend. And vice versa when it's flipped on the other side. It becomes this. Okay, so what you have is you have a big wick like this. That's obviously red. Actually, a lot of times it's down here. I have another one that would be up into here. The wick would go that high. And then you would have another one. Oops, not that. It was that. And the wick is just lower. And then it's this. So the opposite of that one. Opposite of that. Make sense? It's a great sign that there is a. Should probably just whiteboard that. It probably would be a little bit cleaner. People are looking at this thing like, what the heck did he just draw? I have no idea what he just drew. Yeah, it's the upside. It's the inverse of this. Okay, I like. It's a very strong pattern. All right. So, like that, the fact that we are up here, I think, if we... So, pound yen. You don't get it? It has to do with price action. It's understanding how the wicks go. Higher wicks, lower wicks. It's the way that they're formed is the best way that I can explain it. Without understanding like the supply and demand from the course, it's kind of hard to. It's grasping the concept is a bit more difficult, but it's based off of price trying to go higher or lower and being unable to do that because buyers and sellers have stepped in. So what it does, it creates a lower level or a higher level depending on which direction you're trying to, you're going in. And it's kind of a telltale sign that there are buyers and sellers still sitting there. Where there's a high I guess the better thing to say is there's a high probability that there are buyers or sellers still there based off the way that the candles were formed. Okay. All right. That's right now. Literally all we did was we went from this level to this level and back down again. Which is 20 pips, 25 pips. 93. Tomorrow that this thing just goes insane. I really want this to be like a 250 pip candle just to get out of all this drama. So I'm going to remove both these because we're not going to trade it in that small of an area. We're going to remove these two as well just to clear this up. Basically what we're doing is we're going to take the top or the bottom side of this. That's it. We're going to take up there. Or we're going to take, oops, not that one. God, why do I keep doing that today? Take this side. Again, this top blue one is part of the, obviously part of the purple. I mean, the purple is the better entry, but anything top or bottom, again, that gives us the ability to take some type of a nadex position with a fixed amount of risk going in, and then again, playing some type of a retracement. That's the best I think we're going to do in this one. It's just, there's just too much junk in here. There's nothing clean right here. Way too many wicks up and down. I mean, this one retested this one. That was kind of okay, but this one has gone just to the very right tip of it, so it's not there. Again, I would use this one. Again, this area, quite a large area, but we know that this area has some, some movement in it. One thing I don't like about it, and again, the only reason I'm saying use this one is because I feel like this one is just way too far for the amount of movement we've had. To reach that upper level, it's going to have to move 256 pips, which is basically too far. Unless Brexit gets solved tomorrow, it's too far. It's just not. It's just not going to have the legs that get that far to that upper zone. But know that this one, I wouldn't take this one in spot currencies just because, again, we've reached all the way to the very, very top. So if we want to be real technical, that's where the zone is left because that's the only piece that hasn't been touched and filled yet. But again, we're going to take it off of here. That would still give us or require us to have, that still requires a 90 pip move to the top side. Okay, so the number's still going to have to be pretty big. Just that shows how long we've been kind of stuck in the sideways area. It's just crap, right? Just junk. Just junk. Vanessa, see this? This is not a triangle. Okay, triangle is only a two stick pattern. Gotta find one here somewhere. Price is coming down. Right there. See that? This one here. I'll move the triangle. See how this one is higher, and then this is a little one. You can see that this fits right on top. See it? Oh, a rally-based rally. Huh? No. This is a drop-based drop, but again, it's the formation. If it was too equal, it wouldn't be the same. It's more powerful when it's like this versus when it's like this. See how this is not really a triangle, it's just this little sideways and down? This is a more powerful of the two setups. Okay. So that's what we got going here. Let's look at pound US. What do we got over here? Come on. Give us something better. I don't have any clue who that is. All right. So this one had a little bit of a setup a little bit earlier. About 7 o'clock this morning, we did come back up and touch it. We mentioned if we were able to get back up to the zone, we would be looking to get a short. So I don't know if anybody got this one. Again, this would have been one of those ones you wanted to take in Nadex, not in spot currencies, because the risk level was just too much in spot currencies. You're talking about 80 pip risk, which you definitely wouldn't take. The move to the downside was not huge, but again, it did happen pretty quick. Back to the start of this move, it was about 57. So when this one came up and spiked up, rally, you can see it didn't spend much time here. And the total movement in this one, again, from there, basically to where the safe area is, which is right here, it's about 66 pips, and it triggered in about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. So even if you would only use a 2 hour, using the 8 to 10 in that one, you would have been here. Okay, you would have had about a 48 pip movement. And just so you guys have it, let's see. Bring it up for you guys real quick. Go to products, go down to contract specifications, and go to the pound. The 8 to 10 would be here. and you're talking about a 10 pip strike differential. So with it moving 48 pips, we had almost 5 strikes to the downside, okay, based off of that one. So again, definitely a chance to get into some of the out of monies in that one. And even if you had taken, a little bit later in the day, um, I mean, you would have only had 3 strike prices had you been using the dailies. But you could have used the 11. Actually, you could use the 11 or the 3 p.m. Either one of them would have been fine. You would have been able to get in there. But I think the 2 hour would have been the choice on that one. Okay. Um, So this one is a little bit different than some of the other pairs in the fact that this one is actually in an area where it's showing us, again, on the smaller time frames, it's showing us that it wants to have a little bit more strength. It's sitting inside of buying areas. But if you're looking at it on the larger time frame of the daily, it is still very, very high. It's still right there. I mean, it literally just came off of it. I mean, 12 hours ago, it came off of that daily supply zone. So if we get a bit of retracement overnight before this news comes out, remember this one comes out at 4:30. Um, Again, I'd be looking to take a sprint short again. Again, I don't think we're going to have a 250 pip mover, but I definitely think we could have something out of this one if we can get back up to that zone. Trying to think where we'd go. If you guys don't have this level marked off here at the bottom, mark that off just for later, for purposes down the road. What I would do on this one, or what I'm going to do, if we stay at this area and we're at this area tomorrow morning. So let's see. So what's going through my head right now is so the pound has made some pretty good comments about how their consumers being good, their consumers doing great. If they're not, and again, this is a manufacturing number, so I mean they've made a bunch of comments about how well retail and the consumers holding up over there despite everything going on. If manufacturing has really not slowed down whatsoever, and this number comes in good, this would definitely give us that pop, kind of right back up in the air. Now, if it's bad, obviously this thing is going to tank to the downside. So it may be one of those ones that if you want to try a pre-release, if you're able to be up for it, you could potentially get into something, a little bit ahead of time. Let's see. Yeah, so you will be able to do a 2 hour on this one. So this is what I'm thinking. So if we can stay within this area, right? If we just kind of start petering or we start to kind of move back up again, what I'm thinking is we may be able to take advantage of kind of a spike up into this area at that first news release. Um, Again, taking it beforehand. Once it hits that area, then obviously taking it in the other direction for a bit more of a retrace back to the downside. If that data is good, because again, there will be the initial reaction, and then there'll be kind of the counter reaction to it. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That maybe we want to wake up a little bit early for and check. Um, like I said, this was very very fast movement today, and there wasn't much that was able to kind of get there to move it. Feel like we're due again with the low movement we've had in the pound. I mean, UK traders have got to be dying to put money on this thing. Banks have got to be like, hey, we got to do something with this. We got to move money. We make money by moving money, and it just hasn't moved. How much movement we got to the downside here? It's a heck of a run. It's 150 to the downside. Yeah, that may be a pre and a post trade on this one. That could be interesting. I may wake up early for that one tomorrow morning. See how that one goes. Check pound New Zealand. See what we got over here. Um, This is one we marked off earlier. Remember I talked about looking at, even if you don't trade them often, make sure you look at them. So this is one of the ones I found with Josh a bit earlier. I don't know if any of you guys took that one. And again, you could have taken it to here. Said, okay, there's the first level, right? That first level is 120 pips down. Or you could take it down to the second level, which was here, which was 202 pips. Don't know if you guys saw that one or not. But that's why I said it's always good to mark off zones when you see something like this, especially on the 4-hour, that is a huge drop like that. Okay, very telltale. I mean, very simple, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure every single one of you in this room at this point could figure out that that was the supply zone. And again, you didn't get it under here. You may say, oh, I missed it. Well, there you go. Didn't take too much heat. And 120 pips, 207 pips. You guys can do the math on that one. I'm not going to touch this one tomorrow. The spread's going to be too much on that one. See New Zealand. So here 2230, and if we go back, 2230 is right here. Okay, so what do? We literally ding right off of this and then rallied all the way back up again to that same exact zone. And I said if we hit that same exact zone, that hit at 7:30 this morning, and it went all the way right back down to the same zone again. So I hope that you guys got filled on this one, because again, that was one that we had drawn for you guys. Did you really? Yeah, and we marked it off last night. I mean, I drew it off the wick over wick here on the 4-hour. So, I mean, again, I hope that you guys caught that one. And remember we talked about this? 8 pips risk, is it worth it for 35? And I was like, yeah, if it comes back up again, sure, I'll be selling it again. And it did. I was hoping somebody did. I didn't see anybody post about it today, but I was hoping that you guys saw it. But, again, not a bad little setup, right? 8 for 35. What's even funnier is you can say you pulled the James and everybody knows exactly what you're talking about. Exactly. Let's see. I can put. There you go. Oops. I don't know what that is. Why does it always do 2? I hate that it does 2. Oh, wait. It's the wrong one. Hold on. It's this one. There we go. It's that one. That's the James. That's the James signal. So when you say you pull James, you guys have to use the emojis and put that emoji in there. Hit the little smiley face and start jacking those emojis. It's our resident sleeper. Mr. I slept through. Actually, Ernest, he did. It's not that he forgot to set the alert. I think he forgot to wake up from the alert is what it was. That's what he did. All right. So with that being said, guys, you guys are at a bottom level right now. It's hit this thing and it's spent a lot of time here. So any orders that would have still existed down at this level have probably at this point started to get eaten up. I mean, it's spent what, from 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tonight. Usually right all the way through the zone. So whatever we had left here, I think it's going to fall and collapse and probably head down. Probably wouldn't trade too much on this one. We may kind of just move a bit, but like I said, I don't know that we can make it all the way back up to that zone. And again, this zone's been hit here, here, and here. So number 4, I don't know if I would take another shot at this one. This didn't go all the way through, but I think you're starting to play with fire if you take this one another time. Okay. You forgot to place the profit. Yeah, exactly right. So again, that's another one from last night's chart school. How'd you guys taking this one? Again, small risk, triggered at 6, 7 o'clock this morning, and then continue to push all the way down to your targets. And again, 4-hour zone, 4-hour wick over wick. Okay, I've said that a million times. 4-hour, 4-hour, 4-hour. Okay, looking at dollar Swiss. That's right. It was oil that got you, right? Didn't you have one the other day that you slept through too? I swear there was one that you slept through. It was like a 3 o'clock in the morning one, and you like had it marked and then didn't take it. I know you had the one for oil, but I thought that was different. That was like yesterday. This was like the one you slept through was like last week, I think. And we were all joking about you sleeping through it. All right, so here is that kind of candle pattern that I talked about before, and I said I like this one, but the one problem that I had is this price had pushed all the way super deep into this zone, which kind of ruined a lot of it for me, right? So here's the 22. We go back and look at the 22 right here. Okay, so we did rally all the way back. It did actually kind of pull away from the zone a bit, but again, it was just to grab some more orders down here and then force its way back in, went down and grabbed some more, and then it's now pushed higher. So, I mean, this poor zone has been beat up, and again, whenever you see a candle like this that it's that high up, you can't really count on it to hold, and it didn't. Again, this was a gift that it even got pushed this far, okay? And then again, this one came all the way back down and grabbed more. And it's interesting if you guys want to look where it grabbed orders from. Okay, you can see this one grabbed orders here. You had this level. Okay, and then you had this level right here. So see how it came back to levels that continue to push forward. And again, it went up and touched here and got forced back down, grabbed some. Went up a little higher, got forced back down, grabbed a little bit deeper. Went up again, came over, and then base went up, and then boom, crashed again, and then went higher. So zone at this point is dead. Again, it's been hit way too many times. It's been pushed into. And again, after this push in, I mean, I told you guys last night it probably wasn't going to hold much longer. So I see this one actually continuing up. I think tomorrow we can get up into this upper range. I think that the U.S. data will be good enough that we can push up into this 99.60 range. If we do get up here, I want us to close up there, or I want us to be very, very close to this zone. If we can close somewhere up there, I think this will be a great little Sunday night trade and maybe potentially even a weekly trade next week to take this from here back to the downside. Okay. I think that will be, not a bad position. Remember, again, with the holidays next week, U.S. volume will be light. It'll be easy to manipulate us. And guarantee that China knows that we won't be able to respond and react. So I wouldn't be surprised if some language comes out next week, which would obviously hurt the U.S., which would drive this back down again. So kind of is lining up that way. Okay. Popping up to this gray area and then turning and flipping. Dollar CAD. Can do it. All right. Dollar CAD really kind of went up right to the zone, right? It didn't do much. It didn't give us a big kind of swing either direction. And again, not really surprised. Just looking at today, I mean, again, what was going to drive it, right? That's more for Sunday. And again, we're lining up that it looks like it's going to bounce more to the downside. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're still good for this one. Here's our down. Here's our up. Okay, take one or the other. Obviously not both. Play it that way. Okay, so the analysis is still good here. I mean, we really didn't do much. I mean, here's our 22, and then we go back. Our 22 is right here. Okay, so we had a run up. This one spike at 9 o'clock this morning, and after the spike at 9 o'clock, nothing. So yeah, so we'll see. We'll be looking for this one. Top or bottom, nothing's changed. Looking at the yen, good old yen. Come on, there we go. Remember I talked about that level of consolidation? We're still in that level of consolidation. It actually is planted itself, body and wicks all inside. Check this out on the 4-hour, right? I told you we had this one fake out, and we did that, right? We went right through. People were like, yeah, I'm going short now. And then it popped right back in the middle. And what did it do? Nothing. It just, I mean, it literally is just sideways. So the range on this one total, I mean, obviously, we're talking from here up. Talking about 13 pips. So kind of the definition of watching paint dry. Okay. Just don't have any movement in this one. Okay. Kind of similar situation. There's our top. There's our bottom. Don't really care about the green. It's just funny that we are literally following even closer and closer and closer into the green. And you have these like trend traders that are, those people, they're like, oh God, it's going to break. Look at this. It's going to hit. It's going to hit. It's going to burst out of one of the two sides. Yeah, it will eventually. But it's there. So it's like, Ernest, you're 9 minutes late. Talked about this, man. 9 minutes late. Um, yeah, I don't know. Top and bottom. That's all I got on this one. I'm not really super excited about it either way. One last thing too, we'll look over at Euro Swiss. Euro Swiss could be one that moves in the morning. Like I said, the Swiss is not quite as fun to trade against as the yen, but occasionally there are setups that you see on this pair. There's two zones that we have sitting up here. You guys can see here's the first one, and again, we bounced off this one pretty nice and rallied all the way down. And again, we have a second one up there. So two potential areas in this one, and the bottom side of this one is here. Okay, so we do have some, some nice areas that this has been bouncing off of. That color? No, it's not that color. I think it's darker than that one. Never gonna find the same color.
going to be that color. Close enough. I don't get the joke. Which one? The sideways thing? Don't trade trend. Well, what? Oh, so were you talking about on this one? Hold on. It's gonna this one. Saying is so a lot of the things they tell you guys about how to determine trend and these traditional patterns, this is one of them. They're like, oh, it's consolidating. So eventually it's going to break out one of the tops. So there's certain rules that everybody fundamentally knows. Well, the problem is everybody knows them. So if everybody knows them and knows how to trade them, then how would anybody make money off of it? And vice versa. If everybody knows when it breaks through the bottom side, you're supposed to go short. Who the heck is selling it to you if everybody knows you're supposed to be shorting it right there? Because remember, right? If you're trying to short, the only way for you to do that is for somebody else to buy it from you. There has to be somebody on the other side of the trade. I mean, come on. If everybody knows when it breaks, you're supposed to go short. Why the heck would anybody want to do that? Like, why would somebody sell it to you if they know that that's what it's going to do? So all the people that know those rules, right, that sold it down here, because again, when it breaks this trend line, that's when you go short. That's exactly why price popped up again, because everybody knows that, hey, the amateur who's read that one trading book is going to know as soon as this trend line breaks to go short. As soon as they go short, they sell it to you, and then boom, price spikes, and that amateur buyer, or I'm sorry, I guess this amateur seller is losing money, and now they're deep in the hole. They got stopped out, and that guy made a quick profit. Yeah, they know exactly where we're going to put them because that's what the books say. That's what the books and the websites tell you to do, right? There's your trend line. When it breaks, you're golden. Look, there's the trend line. Oh, it broke. We got to go short. And then as soon as you get short, bam, it goes right back up again, takes you out. Hopefully you had to stop, right? So again, it's more of a joke about people that read like one or two trading books, thinking that, hey, listen, there's a trend line. I'm supposed to follow a trend. Yeah, you're supposed to follow a trend, but you're only supposed to get into it on a pullback, which is the exact opposite of what the brain actually feels. The brain doesn't like to buy when things are pulling back or sell when they're pulling back. It likes to buy things at the top or the bottom. You know, it's kind of like the overall stock market, right? When we had the stock market crash, you know how many people were getting out at the bottom? Lots. They wrote it all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. Then they hit you know, we joke around about it, is like the puke point where you can't take it anymore. And magically, just when you sell was the bottom, and then it goes all the way back up again. And vice versa. People were buying houses at the very, very peak. Well, everybody knew it was going to crash, except the people that were literally buying at the peak. Now, some people had to, obviously. I mean, if you're moving or something like that for work, and you don't have much of a choice, but all these people that were buying these houses, expecting them to go up 30 grand every single week, they got into a lot of trouble because they were buying it and it was over. You know, the person that sold it to them was smart because they sold it at the top. They were the guys that were smart. It's the people that were buying it from them. They were the ones that were in trouble. And it's the same thing. You know, you're basically, you know, they're like, oh my God, price is going. It broke a trend line. I'm selling. Well, yeah, you were the one that was left holding it there. And then that's why price went back up. Yep. Bargain shopping. It is. Yeah, it will be. You'll have a lot of epiphanies the longer you stay in here. And then James will start sending you mason jars of special liquid. I don't know what that noise was, but I didn't like that just noise. All right, so with that being said, guys, that's all we got. So, like I said, a couple different binaries were setting up in good positions. Nothing that was, spectacular. Like I said, I think the euro pound was an interesting one, and some of the euro ones were setting up for kind of a pop and a kind of a trace in the other direction. So, what I do as I catch those, I will catch you guys in the morning. I will be on. If you guys have any questions, go ahead, bounce them off me. If you have any charts or any setups, make sure you guys do post them. That way, other people can see them as well. We can do a little bit of sharing, and we'll go from there. So, thank you guys so much for attending tonight. Let me do the pip chips real quick. I'm going to close the contest down in 20 seconds. As soon as this hits 120, I'm shutting it down. So you guys better do it quick. JK got right in. He's learning real quick. I'll be drinking them. Yeah. Let's see. 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Look if Ryan comes in. Ryan's like, it's not happening to me again. It's not happening. And Pattern Trader. Man, Pattern Trader, Ernest won yesterday. That's 2 in 3 days that Pattern Trader has hit. That's pretty awesome. Pattern Trader is making a name for himself. I think he's down. Where is he at? Pattern Trader. I think that's pretty cool. He's won 2 this week. I think he's on page 2. Where is he at? I must have missed him. Where the heck is he?
Obviously, he's on page 1. Pattern trader right there. I knew he was somewhere around there. There we go, man. He's got an extra 50 pip chips this week. He's definitely on the move this week. So he figured out the code. He did. He did figure out the code. That's all it takes is just a little bit of a little bit of extra edge. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. Good trading. Be safe. And again, don't forget, for those of you that understand what this means, go mark your Friday night closes. Look for those Sunday night gap plays. Okay, I'll see you guys Monday night. I want to see a lot of profits from you guys over the weekend, as well as on Monday morning. All right, you guys take care.